Margaret is the executive director of the Ivanhoe Neighborhood Council, serving one of the largest neighborhoods in Kansas City since 2001. Under her leadership, Ivanhoe has achieved numerous accomplishments, which have resulted in INC becoming a community development corporation that develops new housing and rehabs and repairs existing housing stock. Because of Margaret's work in Kansas City's urban core, she was nominated to serve on the EPA's National Environmental Justice Advisory Council under President Obama. I must make mention that I believe that council is gone now under the new administration. So please welcome Margaret May.
As has been stated, I have worked for the past 15 years in the Ivanhoe neighborhood. It's a center city neighborhood that is rebounding from more than 30 years of disinvestment. The neighborhood was originally formed back in the 1890s by German immigrants, and it was fully built out by the 1930s. And in the mid-1950s in Kansas City, when the schools were integrated, almost overnight, the all-white neighborhood became an all African-American and Hispanic neighborhood with just a very few number of whites still living there. The neighborhood remained vibrant until the 1980s when the crack cocaine epidemic hit. And also it was influenced by the change in the demographics by affirmative action and the more affluent African-Americans moving out of the neighborhood. Back in 1997, a young couple, Alan and Yolanda Young, who were new to the neighborhood, realized that they had 6 drug houses, illegal drug houses on their block. They organized a prayer vigil with help from people from their church, and they literally sang and prayed in front of each one of those drug houses. And very powerful prayer story. Within a month's time, all of those drug houses, all those dealers moved rather than have that kind of attention. And with that energy, the people in the neighborhood asked Alan if he would become the president of the organization that had been formed back in the 1960s. He agreed to do so, and the hardworking grassroots people in that neighborhood started doing the things to bring the neighborhood back. In 1999, the Kaufman Foundation called Alan in and said, "We want to give you some money." The Kaufman Foundation give him some money to help do the work that they were doing in the neighborhood. Alan is a very honest young man with lots of integrity, and he says, "I can't take your money because we don't have a plan. And without a plan, we can't be accountable." Kaufman Foundation then got the KU work group to come and work with the neighborhood. And in a 6-month time period, they developed a strategic plan. And the Kaufman Foundation then provided the neighborhood with a 3-year operating support grant. With that grant, I was hired in 2001. We, 6 months later, renovated some space in the Harold Thomas Center for our office. And since that time, have our own building with the help of James B. Nutter on the 3700 block of Woodland. I was asked by the EPA here in Kansas City if I would serve on the National Environmental Justice Advisory Council, or NEJAC, and I served from 2010 to 2016. I had the opportunity to visit environmental justice, or EJ, communities throughout the United States. We'd have a meeting each year, one in Washington and one in one of those places that were EJ communities. And I was amazed to learn and meet people in Native American communities who literally have to drive 2 miles or more to get fresh water. I was astounded visiting in New Mexico to learn that there are neighborhoods where at least one person in each one of the houses in the neighborhood have either experienced or had a family member that experienced cancer or died from it. You know, Kansas City is number 5 in 25 cities to be most impacted by climate change due to the large number of days we have each year that are 90 degrees or more. And we also have so many freeway lanes per capita, more than other large metropolitan areas. Bruce R. Watkins Drive, a roadway that connects the north to the south, runs right down the middle of the Ivanhoe neighborhood. And we have more people in Kansas City that have died from extreme heat than from tornadoes. Over the past years in our country, temperatures have continually come up. And we have many homes in neighborhoods like Ivanhoe that are powered by gravity-type furnaces and that don't have air conditioning. And many people, older people that are living in those homes that are really, really seriously impacted winter and summer in particular. We've got very large numbers of neighborhoods that have low income, a very low income. $20,000 a year is the median family income in Ivanhoe. And most of the EJ communities in Kansas City and across the United States are predominantly communities where most of the people that live there are African American or Latino, Hispanic, people of color. As we look at and think about climate change, and we think about the people who are most likely to be severely affected by the results of climate change, all of us, regardless of our color or our economic situation, we've got to realize how very important it is that we learn from each other. No matter how much we know, there's something each of us can share with another so that we know more. And each of us must do our very, very best to be sharing what we know with others. Because quite often the people who know the least are the people who live in those EJ communities, and quite often don't realize that there are things that each individual can do to make a difference with climate change. Conserving water, riding together in cars rather than driving a car singly. When we do buy new appliances or equipment, to make sure we're getting high energy efficiency as possible. Planting rain gardens, growing our own food so that we don't have to have everything shipped in, and planting trees. Those are just some simple things that each one of us can do, and if we're not able to do, at least tell others about, which I think can make a difference and affect or slow down climate change. Thank you.